Boys, it has been confirmed. If you go into your app right now, you can see a new selection pack, a new structured deck. You can click both of these and say date available May the 9th. What the hell is this, dude? Check this out. Same thing. May the 9th, cybernetic successor. I told people in my ban list video, I think the ban list was weak because specifically there are new cards coming out. Everyone said I was crazy. Everyone said I was wildin'. But here we are. For those that don't follow TCG much, a lot of the cards that are being added extremely power crept a lot of the current meta decks that we have. For example, we know DPE is coming out, and DPE, most people will tell you in TCG, DPE is a massive meta setter, and decks like Tri-Brigade and stuff like that won't necessarily be the sole tier 1 anymore. Not necessarily that they'll be bad, but they won't necessarily be the sole tier 1 anymore with things like that, things like Despia, things like Swordsoul. Swordsoul's another big one. Now that they're coming out, the meta will be changing, even with the not so amazing ban list that we ended up getting. Now, Master Duel Meta, again, shout outs to them, go check out their website, did post all of the cards, the full card list of new cards that should be coming out. With the update, again, this is all, subject to change on the 9th itself, but these should be all of the brand new cards coming out. And I just wanted to kind of take a moment to just read these cards. That's really what we want to do. Just read these cards, give my opinion on them, give my opinion on the overall archetypes that they belong to. If it'll be meta defining, if it'll be a fun deck, if it'll, a good ladder deck, etc., etc., etc. I know a good chunk of these cards. The ones I'm not super knowledgeable about are definitely the Sword-Souls, but that's okay because here at DLE we're a team and we have PDS. PDS knows a shit ton about Sword-Souls, so he will definitely be our go-to man for that archetype, but I'll still read over the cards and give my opinion on them. So let's get into it. First thing first, Attachment Cyburn. Oh baby, the Cyberdarks. From what I understand, the structure deck that was released in TCG that had the Cyber Dragon stuff didn't really do too much for them. So let's see if there's anything too crazy here for Master Duel. You can target one dragon or machine cyber monster you control. Equip this card from your hand or field to it. A monster equipped with this card gains 600 attack. If this card is sent from the graveyard, it will equip to a monster. You can target one other dragon or machine cyber monster in your grave. Special summon it. You can only use the effect once per turn. Next up, we'll have Cyberdark Chimera. You can discard a spell or trap and add a power bond from your deck to your hand. You can only use dragon or machine cyber monsters as fusion material this turn. Also, when you fusion summon this turn, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as material. If this card is sent to the grave, you can send one Cyberdark monster from your deck to the grave with a different name from cards in your graveyard. You can only use each effect once per turn. So kind of seeing the play there, it's kind of like the crazy Cyber Dragon OTK, but kind of faster, if you will, because you're constantly sending cards from your deck to your grave and then using it to fusion summon from there. Destiny Hero Denier. We know DPE is coming, but we're also getting some other Destiny Hero cards. If this card's normal or special, you can take one of your Destiny Hero monsters from your deck graveyard or that is banished and place it at the top of your deck. You can only use the effect of Denier once per turn. If you have a Destiny Hero monster in your field or graveyard other than Destiny Hero Denier, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. You can only use this effect once per duel. Just once per duel. Can never use it again after that. Next up, we have Gakuku Punk Wangan. I don't actually know the rarity of all these cards and how they'll look. They're just ordered based on, effect, spell, trap, and extra deck, but I am actually curious how expensive some of these archetypes will be. Hopefully not too expensive for you guys. Getting in here, You can pay 600 life, fusion summon a punk fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field's material. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can pay 600. Immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon a punk synchro monster using monsters you control as material. You can only use each effect once per turn. From what I understand about punks, they're actually another generic kind of engine that you can put into other decks. Pure punks isn't the way. From what I understand, from what people have told me, I actually own the punk cards in real life, so I know I pretty much have the full archetype, and I can kind of see they're not supposed to be played just on their own. They're supposed to go with another archetype for sure. Probably won't make too much of a splash in Master Duel, but I'm still excited to see if anyone can pull it off and do something with them. Ice Jade Acti. If this card's normal or special, you can send one water monster from your hand to the grave, draw a card. If a face-up water monster you control is throw a battle card effect while this card's in your graveyard, you can banish that card, special summon one Ice Jade monster from your hand or graveyard, except at Ice Jade Acti. All right, cool. This is all the Ice Jade stuff. You can only Ice Jade Tanola. You can send one card from your hand to the grave, target one water monster in your grave, send this card from the field to the graveyard. If you do, special summon the targeted monster. If a face-up water monster you control is destroyed by battle card effect while this card's in your grave, you can banish this card, special summon one Ice Jade monster from your hand or graveyard, except this one. You can only use this effect each once per turn. And there you go. And that's pretty much the Ice Jade stuff. I don't know much about the Ice Jade stuff. I didn't even realize that they were in here. So we'll see. Maybe this will just be straight water support. They are water monsters. Water XCs. We've seen it a couple times in tournaments, but it's been pretty weak. So I don't know if this is what they necessarily need or if this is a separate archetype. If you know, let me know now down in the comments down below. Swordsoul of Maui. If this card's normal or special, you can reveal one Swordsoul card or one worm monster in your hand. Special summon one Swordsoul token. You can synchro with the tokens. While that token's in the monster zone, the player who summoned it cannot special summon monsters with the extra except synchro monsters. If this card is sent from the graveyard to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can draw a card. And that's kind of what the archetype does. It just synchros a lot. So I'm very excited for Swordsoul. I think this will be the deck I'll have the most fun learning just based off the videos I've seen about it. Swordsoul of Taya. You can banish a Swordsoul card or one worm monster from your graveyard. Special summon one Swordsoul token. While that token's the monster, it cannot be special summoned from the extra except synchros. I think they all kind of have that when they have tokens. If this card's sent to the grave as synchro material, you can send one Swordsoul card or one worm monster from your deck to the grave, which is a really, really good effect. If you have good graveyard effect worm or Swordsoul monsters, which I believe there are quite a few. We have some more Ice Jade Chimera. You can send this card from your hand to the grave. Special summon one water monster from your hand. If a face-up water monster you control destroy a battle card effect while this card's in your grave, you can banish this card. Special summon an Ice Jade from your hand or graveyard. You can only use this effect once per turn. Swordsoul Aspis Chunjun. Before damage calc, if your worm monster battles an opponent's monster that are special summoned from the extra, you can destroy both that monster and this card. You can only use this effect each once per turn. During the main phase quick effect, you can tribute a monster, special summon this card from your hand. If this card is sent from the graveyard as a synchro material, you can target one of the cards in the field or graveyard and banish it. Very strong effect. Worm type, Swordsoul. I think they're all worm types, actually. Yes, they are. Okay. Swordsoul Strategist Long Yun. You can discard one of their Swordsoul or Worm monster to special summon this card from your hand. Then you can special summon a token, and I believe that token is a tuner right off the bat. so I don't know about you guys, but 6 plus level 4 token, which happens to be a tuner. Anyone say Baron de Fleur? I'm just saying, hey. Oh man, while this token's in the monster zone, you cannot be special summoned for the extra except synchro monsters. And if a card sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can inflict 1200 to your opponent. You only use this effect once per turn. So obviously a very powerful card. You can kind of start to see Swordsouls. I mean, this is literally a 1-card synchro. The token comes out as a tuner. This thing's already level 6. Holy shit, you know, holy shit. Ad Libitum of Despia. Despia is another card or another deck, which I think we got a bunch of the support from. It looks like, yeah, we've got Branded and High Spirits, Branded and Red. Despia is like a recent archetype. I don't know if we got all the cards from the recent boxes. We'll have to see as we keep going. It looks like we did. There's the big boss monster. It is crazy that we already got them because it's something that's just come out, just got recently supported. I don't know if we got all the newest support, but I'm excited for Despia because a lot of people think that it's going to be a really good deck in TCG. I want to see how it performs in Master Duel, a different meta. During the main phase, you can make all face-up monsters currently in the field gain attack equal to their level times 100 until the end of your opponent's turn. If this card uses a material for fusion from the hand or field and sent to the grave or banished, you can target one other Despia monster or one of your level 8 or higher fusion monsters that is banished or in the grave, except this one, special summon it. You can only use this effect once per turn. Noah Punk Ogre Dance. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you make this card gain attack equal to that opponent's original attack until the end of this turn. You'll use the effect once per turn. You can tribute one other Punk monster, special summon this card from your hand. You can send this card from your hand to the field to the graveyard, add a Punk from your deck to your hand, except a level 8 monster. I believe this is another Punk card. There are a few cards on here. Some of these Punks, they don't show up on Master Duel meta. I'm not 100% sure why, but I figured it's just Punk, and I don't think Punk is super relevant. I think the rest of the cards pretty much all show up. Quick scan, yeah. So if I miss something super important about Punk, you know, you guys can tell me down in the comments down below, and I'll be more than happy to read them on stream. But I don't think Punk's the big news flash from this box. So I think the 2 cards or so, or the 3 cards it looks like, that I won't be able to read here. That's okay. We'll live. Lord of Heavenly Prison. During your main phase, you can activate this card. This card is in your hand, becomes revealed until the end of your opponent's turn. While this card is revealed by this effect, set cards in the field cannot be destroyed by card effects. If a set spell trap is activated, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then if you activate the effect while this card is revealed, you can reveal and set one spell trap directly from your deck, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. You can only use one effect per turn, and only once that turn. Super interesting card, kind of be used as kind of like a hand trap. It is a hand trap. I'm excited to see what kind of combos people are going to pull off with this. I talked to a few people, and they said this potentially might be one of those cards that if you want to keep an eye out. So let's keep an eye out for that one. These are the Punk cards. Again, we're going to be skipping over those. Gimzi's Lord Goal Knight. This card is treated as a normal monster. Will face up in the field or in the graveyard. While this card is a normal monster on the field, it's a Gemini. You can normal summon it. If this card is normal or special, you can add one spell trap from your deck to your hand that has Gemini monster in its text. You can only use effect once per turn, and it gains 500 attack points. Incredible Ecclesia, the Virtuos. If your opponent controls more monsters you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon one of her once per turn this way. You can only use this effect once per turn. During the main phase, quick effect, you can tribute this card, special summon one Swordsoul monster or Fallen of Albaz from your hand or deck. During the end phase, if a fusion monster was sent to the graveyard this turn, add this card from your graveyard's hand. Interesting that the Swordsouls and the Albaz are actually connected through a Dogmatica card of all things. So, or you know, she's also in Dogmatica. So I don't know what the lore reasons is behind there, but search her for both archetypes. I'm sure it'll be a fantastic card for them. Punk Madam Spider, you can pay 600, add a Punk trap from your deck to your hand. When you activate a Punk card or effect that targets a card your opponent controls. Quick effect, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes half until the end of this turn. You can only use the effect once per turn. Cybernetic Horizon. This card's always treated as Cyberdark cards. Send 2 dragons and or machine cyber monsters with different attributes to the grave. One from your hand and one from the deck. Add 1 dragon or machine cyber monster from your deck to your hand. And if you do, send 1 machine cyber fusion from your extra deck to the grave. You can also special summon monsters from the extra deck the turn you activate. Except machines, you can only activate 1 Cybernetic Horizon per turn. Swordsoul Emergence, a spell card. You can add a Swordsoul monster from your deck to your hand, or if you control Synchro monster, you can add a Worm monster instead, which are all the Swordsoul monsters. If this card's banished, you could target a Swordsoul monster or Worm monster you control, increase or decrease its level by 1 until the end of this turn. You can only use this effect once per turn, so just straight up add a card from your deck to your hand. Swordsoul Sacred Summit. Target 1 Swordsoul monster in your grave, or if you control a Synchro monster, you could target a Worm instead. Special summon it. If this card's banished, you could target 1 Swordsoul monster or a Worm monster you control, increase or decrease its level this turn. And I think there's another Swordsoul that actually banishes cards. We'll see when we get there. Next we have... Oh, there we go. Ursatron Drytron. What the? Special summon 1 ultimate flagship Ursatron from your extra deck by banishing, I'm saying this completely wrong, Ursatron Big Dipper and 1 Drytron Fafnir from your hand or field, although you can banish one of them from your deck instead of Bolin or Drytron Alpha Turbin is on the field. If you attribute a monster to activate your Sarctic or Drytron monster effect, you banish the card from the grave instead. So there's a little bit of Drytron support, but I think it's that new archetype, your Sarctic. There you go. More butchering names with Rai. You guys know I'm terrible with names. There you go. Cyberdark Realm. When this card's activated, you can add 1 Cyberdark monster from your deck to your hand with different name from the cards in your graveyard. During the main phase, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 Cyberdark monster. You can only use the previous effect of Cyber Realm once per turn. If you equip a monster from your grave by the effect of Cyberdark monster that was normal or special, you can equip from your opponent's grave instead. Super interesting effect because it's a continuous. Again, Cyberdark didn't do anything really in TCG when it came out, but Master Duel is a different game. You never know, man. And Cyber Dragons, you know, I guess they could play DPE, but in TCG, they typically play Dragoon. They kind of need Dragoon to have that turn 1 and actually do something. So we'll see if these cards do anything for them. Cyber Eternal, target 1 machine cyber fusion monster in your grave, return it to the X for a special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions. If a machine cyber fusion monster you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish the card from your graveyard instead. You can only use the effect once per turn. There you go. Which, again, we can, because of the Horizon, this will combo with that. So, pretty cool synergy there. Branded in High Spirits is a quick play. Reveal 1 monster in your hand and send 1 level 8 fusion monster from your deck, extra deck to the grave with the same type that has 2500 attack or defense. Then you can apply his effects. Discard the revealed monster if you do. Add 1 Fallen of Albaz or 1 monster that lists that card in its text from your deck to your hand. During the end phase, a fusion monster was sent to the grave this turn. You can add this card from the graveyard to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. And of course, the Branded and the Albaz and all those guys, they have effects that, you know, will resummon them on the field or bring them back, etc., etc. We actually have cards right now in the game that resummon themselves when certain conditions are met. So that's extremely powerful to see there. Branded in red, target 1 Despia monster or Fallen Albaz in your grave, add it to your hand, and then you can apply these effects. Well, there you go. You can also add it, apparently. Fusion, summon 1 level or higher fusion from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on from your hand or field, but it cannot attack directly. You can only activate 1 branded red per turn. Ice Jade Cradle. Add 1 Ice Jade monster from your deck to your hand with a different name from the cards you control or in your graveyard. Straightforward. There you go. I love cards like that. The less on it, the more powerful it is. Punk Wild Picking. At the start of the damage step, if your Punk monster battles an opponent's monster, you can destroy that opponent's monster. You only use this effect once per turn. If this card and its owner is spell trapped, destroyed by opponent's card effect, you can activate this effect. Punk monster you currently control cannot be destroyed by battle this turn. Crash B, if your opponent activates a card or effect that targets punk monsters, you could target, this is a continuous, you could target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use the effect once per turn. If this card and its owner's spell trap is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can activate this effect. This turn, your opponent cannot target punk monster you control with card effects and unable to, so same thing. Break the Destiny. Target 1 level 8 or higher Destiny Hero monster, which I'm assuming this is for DPE. DPE revives himself, so if this is anything related to that. Or 1 Destiny in Dragoon, you control, destroy it. And if you do, your opponent skips their next main phase 1. They still have their main phase 2. You can banish this card from your grave, add a spell trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists a Destiny Hero monster card name or Destiny and drag into its text, except Break the Destiny. So yeah, DPE revives itself, so anything that is like related to popping DPE, a lot of the cards will end up like, you know, popping them. Skipping main phase 1 isn't like that devastating unless your opponent just has nothing to do in battle phase. Then you've essentially actually skipped their battle phase, which is kind of interesting. They'll still go to main phase 2 though and set up their board, so I don't know if this will be super relevant. DPE has other more scary uses, not letting you summon from your extra, but we'll get to that. Giant Starfall. Neither player can activate the effects of monsters without a level in response to this card's activation. So if it doesn't have a level, it can't activate it. Target 1 face-up monster with a level on the field. For rest of this turn, any battle damage from battles involving that target is halved. It cannot activate its effects or destroy by battle. Also, its attack becomes 0. Okay. Sounds like a Duel Links card, dude. Swordsoul Assessment. Target 1 face-up monster you control. Banish up to 5 Swordsoul cards or worms from the grave. If you do, There you go. There's the banish effect. There you go. That monster gains 300. If this card is banished, you can special summon a Swordsoul token, tuner level 4. While this card is a token in the monster zone, you can't special summon except synchros. You can only use the effect once per turn. Swordsoul sudden shift, or this says blackout on the card, so I don't know if that's a glitch. Actually, I just realized this is also called Swordsoul Research. I don't know if the names are different for whatever reason, but we'll read them as they are on the website. Target one word monster you control and 2 cards your opponent controls, destroy them, and if it's banished, you can summon a token. Can't use it unless it's synchro summon. There you go. Cyberdark Invasion. Once per turn, you can activate one of these effects. Target one Cyberdark monster you control. Equip one dragon or machine from either grave. The equip spell gives it 1,000 attacks. Send one equip card you control. Equip to a machine monster in the grave. Destroy one card your opponent controls. We have Rebirth Judgment Continuous. Once per turn, you can declare one monster type. All monsters in the graveyard become that type. There you go. I love Floodgates. At least it's only once per turn, you know? Too bad it's a continuous, so you can keep using it. You can target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of this turn. Then if you control a punk monster, gain life points equal to that target monster's attack. Punk Noshawari Surprise. Target one set card your opponent controls, or if you control a punk monster, you can target one face-up card your opponent controls instead. Destroy it. And here we go, boys. Here it is. See, for all those people that called me out and said, Rye, you're crazy for wanting Dragoon. Dragoon is free in TCG, and this card, it's not the only reason, but this is one of the big reasons that it's free. This card is just better than Dragoon. To make it, one level 6 or higher hero monster, one Destiny hero monster. Monsters your opponent controls lose 200 attack for each hero card in your grave. This card can be brought out by Anaconda Vert, so it's very easy to make. You can only use each effect once per turn. Quick effect, you can destroy both one card you control and one card in the field. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can activate its effect, special summon one Destiny hero monster from your grave during your standby of your next turn. So let's break this down. Quick effect, you can destroy both one card you control and one card on the field. Does not say target. So, and on top of that, if this card is destroyed by its own effect, even, you could special summon a Destiny hero, including this. Oh my god. Non-targeting pop every single turn. And the cancerous thing you can do with this thing that a lot of people generally don't like about this card is Artifact Scythe. That card, when it's destroyed, when it's set down and it's destroyed, it comes back, it summons itself, and it locks your opponent from their extra deck. So this is going to be one of the cards that define the brand new meta that we're about to go into, and we'll make an extended video about what decks get affected the most about this, but Brand Kids, hell, everything. This is just a generic card. It's as generic as Dragoon, and it's going to be everywhere. On one hand, it's going to let rogue decks really have a huge boost. On the other hand, meta decks can use it too, so keep that in mind, boys. But that's why we also had that limit with the Destiny Hero stuff on the last ban list. This was like the big hit on there. Masquerade the Blazing Dragon. We got some more Despia stuff. When you control this fusion summon card, your opponent must pay 600 life to activate cards or effect. Oh god, that's a lot actually in Master Duel. If your opponent controls a Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster, so everything, while this card's in your graveyard, quick effect, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So there you go. Pretty much if your opponent is playing Yu-Gi-Oh, you can resummon this card. Rising Carp. You can tribute this fusion summon card, special summon up to 2 punk monsters with different names from each other from the hand and or deck, except level 8 monsters. And in defense position, if you synchro summon using this card, you can target one punk monster you control. It can make a second attack each battle phase's turn. You can only use the effect once per turn. Cyberdark Dragon. This is Cyber End and Cyberdark. Whew, geez, that must be either fusion summoned or special summoned by tributing one level 10 or lower Cyberdark fusion monster equipped with a Cyber End Dragon. There you go. Unaffected by your opponent's card effects. Once per turn, you can equip one monster from either grave to this card. This card can attack a number of times. Each battle phase is up to the number of equipped cards it is equipped to it. This feels like more of an anime level card. I don't think that Cyberdarks will be aiming to make this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cyberdark players. You show me the way. I love Cyber Dragon. Dragon. I don't know much about Cyberdark, but that seems like a crazy effect, but kind of a crazy summoning requirement as well. So, but then again, it is very easy to get 3 Cyber Dragons on the board, so maybe I'm crazy. Ultimate Flagship Ursatron. This is what combos with the Drytron card we got. It's always treated as both the Ursarctic and Drytron. Must be summoned with that card that we talked about. Once per turn, if another effect monster is special summoned to your field, except damage step, you can add 1 Ursarctic or Drytron monster from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, you can target one of your banish Ursarctic or Drytron monsters, add it to your hand. So there you go. I don't think Drytron is necessarily going to play this. But we'll see. We'll see. Drytron was the biggest quote-unquote nerf deck going into the ban list. Swordsoul. Here we go. Here are the synchros that these cards be going into. If this card is synchro summoned, you can add to your hand or banish 1 Swordsoul card from your deck. So you can either add it from your deck to your hand or banish, so you can get one of those banish effects from the spells or traps. Quick effect, you can banish a Swordsoul card or a worm monster from your hand or grave, then target one other effect monster in the field, negate its effects until the end of this turn. Such a powerful effect. You can only use this effect once per turn and only once that turn. Level 8. There you go. Love to see it. Swordsoul Supreme Sovereign. And remember, these Swordsouls, they don't lock themselves into Swordsoul. So Baron de Fleur and all those other crazy synchros that are really good, this deck can make them, so keep that in mind. For each banished card, this card gains 100 attack and defense. For monsters your opponent controls, lose 100 in attack defense. If this card would be destroyed by battle card effect, you can banish 1 card from your grave instead. If a card is banished, you can banish 1 card from both your opponent's field and grave. You can only use the effect once per turn. And then Punk Amazing Dragon. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of level 3 psychic monsters, different names you control from your grave, and return them to the hand. You can target 1 Punk monster in your grave, except Punk Amazing Dragon. Special summon it. You can only use the effect once per turn. And then Rotten, the Heavenly General. Once per turn during the standby, you can target 1 face-up monster this card points to. Special summon level 4 lower monster of the same type as that monster from your hand to the zone it points to. At the start of the battle phase, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use the effect once per turn. So there you go. All the new cards being added. That was a lot. Thank you for sticking with me. If you're still somehow here, put in DLE gang, let's go down the comments so I know that you're a trooper and you went through the whole thing with me. Closing thoughts on this almost 30-minute video now of me just reading cards. DPE, man. DPE is going to be insane. Every rogue deck is going to be running DPE. It's better than Dragoon. The materials to make it don't brick your deck either. You can actually use the heroes. You just have to make sure it's a level 6 or higher hero monster. I believe a lot of people use, I think it was a Destiny Hero Dasher. Correct me if I'm wrong, again. And then any Destiny Hero monster. And a lot of the Destiny Heroes actually have good effects. They're not vanilla monsters that brick your deck. You can actually do stuff with it. In meta decks, it's going to be ridiculous, and rogue decks, it's going to be ridiculous. This card is going to be everywhere. It's both a good and a bad thing. One day I'll make a video kind of talking about cards like this and Dragoon in the future, and why I think they're actually interesting for the game. And they're not necessarily the reason, you know, they're not necessarily the cards that should be banned when we're talking about the game. Maybe something like Anaconda Vert. Maybe something we ban, but that's a topic for another day. We don't have to get into all that. Albaz. I don't think we actually got the new Albaz support after reading it here, but there's like a lot of cool shit with this deck. I don't know if it's enough to necessarily be meta, but there's a lot here. I definitely can see it potentially being rogue and, of course, be set up for the future. Really excited to see that. And Swordsoul, Jesus, Swordsoul is nuts. I'm excited for this archetype. I'm excited for all the different synchros. This is just like a pure, crazy synchro archetype. And I think it's going to change up the meta a lot. And I think a lot of people are going to be side decking for this. We're going to try our best to have tournaments under the new decks here. So I'm very excited to see how it all functions. And that's pretty much it for me. New future animations. All these cards are getting animations. Super cool. Nothing else too crazy beyond that. You guys let me know what you think of the new decks. What are you most excited for? I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. I love you. Till the next video. Peace out, boys.